balance though. I just did some work. Work meaning scouring YouTube for tutorials and finally figured out how to work my camera. So hopefully my white balance looks a little bit better. Anyway guys, today we are going to be testing some very awesomely inexpensive makeup. This has been requested by a few of you guys over the last couple of months, and it's basically a relaunch, a rebranding. Makeup Revolution has become Revolution, and they launched a foundation and a concealer and some eyeshadow palettes and a bunch of stuff, and I went in Ulta yesterday and just kind of had my little pick of the litter. I have used this before, but only as like a contour stick in one of my aesthetic makeup look videos, so I haven't used this and done a wear test on it. So this is their Fast Base Stick Foundation, and I got it in the shade F3. They have a full range of shades, and they also have them actually, you know, sampleable, swatchable on your face in Ulta, so I did that. Hopefully it's a good match. I did find that as soon as it got kind of into a yellower range, it also seemed to get darker. The way that it looks in the tube, it almost looks like it's going to be a little bit gray, but I've learned from other foundations that that probably just means it has color correcting properties in it, so hopefully this is a good shade match for me. And then I also got the Conceal and Define Full Coverage Conceal and Contour, and this I got in the shade C1, and this is their big fat doe foot concealer situation. I got the SophX Ultra Eyeshadows, 24 Ultra Professional Eyeshadows. Who is SophX? I'm terrible. Maybe it's just Soph? Like Soph. I'm gonna Google it real quick because I didn't know who Norvina was. And then you guys informed me and I was like, I should have known that. You know, I should have known that. So I think she must just be like a YouTuber. She's really cute. Forgive me, guys. There's a lot to keep track of. But anyway, this is a very cute palette. We're gonna be unboxing that and trying it on my eyes today. We got the Revolution Sun Kiss Champagne Kiss Highlighter Illuminator situation. This looks gorgeous. I'm really excited about it. So let's go ahead and jump into putting some makeup on this face. What do you say? So same spiel, guys. I've got my skincare on. I've got my SPF on. I've got my Tatcha Tilk Canvas. Well, this is going well. Tatcha Silk Canvas Primer. And we're going to start in here with this beautiful, brand new stick foundation. So this guy is $9. You are not going to be breaking the bank on this, but it all depends on how she performs. So that's looking a little bit pink and a little bit light, which is very surprising. That's not what it looked like kind of in the tube, but I'd rather err on the side of light. God, I really shade matched myself. I hope that this kind of blends out and looks a little bit better. I don't know, I think this is a really good look for me. It's interesting, because, I mean, that's not the shade I would have necessarily thought that this was going to look like when it went on my skin, but it's so kind of illuminating. The pink is almost like coming off like pearlescent more than pink. I wonder what it'll do when we hit it with some powder. Wow, that is so lightweight and easy to blend. It's interesting because I think that when I first put it on, it reminded me a little bit of the Luscious Cosmetics because it does kind of go really easily on the skin. It just has this very like smooth application, or the Wander Beauty stick. It's not as crazy heavy of coverage as I thought it was going to be, which is good because this isn't like the ideal match for my skin, but also it's not as heavy as like a full coverage like the Luscious Cosmetics. So I like that a lot. We are going to now go in, oh I forgot, I'm also going to be testing the little powder. This is their luxury baking powder. I got it in Ghost, so hopefully doesn't make me look like a ghost. I'm like afraid to test it as a baking powder, but that's what it says that it is, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm not usually a baker, but that is what we're going to try to do today. So let's go in with the concealer. And this guy is $7. So again, if this is a good product at all, $7 is a steal. A steal magnolias. Da, 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 da. I love this giant doe foot applicator. It makes me feel like I could just go in and paint, you know? Got ourselves a little damp sponge. Now you guys know that this guy just launched. This is the Thrive Cosmetics, you know, blurring makeup foundation sponge thing. And it's water activated, so I went ahead and soaked this bad boy and squeezed him out. And we're just gonna press this in, move her where she needs to go. That's beautiful. Look at that. So far so good, man. I'm not having any red flags. I'm not having any immediate red flags on the way that this is going on. I mean, I'm gonna have to kind of deepen my face up a little bit because we got a little bit of an issue here. It's not the worst I've ever dealt with. Yeah, I can't even tell you how easy that was. And I'm so surprised at how illuminating this foundation is. Look at that, it's got this beautiful pearlescence to it. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like a really matte shellac coat of makeup. My sleeves, these are like big bell sleeves and they're like catching on everything. I'm trying to be elegant! So, we're going to start with some of this. This is the Luxury Baking Powder. This guy is $8 and you get 1.23 ounces, a crap ton of product here. They're telling me I need to bake with this, so we're gonna bake with it, by God. I'm gonna use my little sponge, my little sponge, and I'm gonna put it under my eyes. Gonna smooth this little line out first. I always crease in that spot. I mean, I think ever since I was a child, you know, that's just kind of the way my eyes are shaped. I would never judge a concealer based on it creasing underneath my eyes because every single concealer will crease in that spot. This does come in a few shades. It comes in a banana and lace. Lace looks like it's a lot pinker, but I got it in their Ghost, which I'm not sure how I feel about that. Okay, I'm going to dust the rest of this kind of all over. And we're going to let all of this kind of sit here. I look like a Pillsbury Dough child. I'm not really sure. I'm not used to seeing myself like this. I watch plenty of YouTubers do their entire video like this. That's fine. The next thing that we're going to go into while that is doing its thing is go into this Soph palette. Really cute packaging. It was shrink wrapped in a box and then in a bag inside the box. Drugstore man, they really like their packaging. They're very scared of you opening their stuff and sticking your phalanges in there. But look at her! She is gorgeous! So we end up with a ton of really workable shades here. These are like, you know, your more wearable everyday shades. And then you get to, you know, your kind of fun shades here too. A lot of these are mattes, which I do appreciate, and we do have some really fun ones to play with. I also love that this has a gigantic mirror in it, but that they didn't bother to try and put a cheapo brush in there. They just used all their real estate for eyeshadows. I am a big believer in that. Let's go ahead and throw a primer on my eyes. It really makes a difference. All right, so I think that I'm going to start with a fluffy brush here and just start building in the crease a little bit. I'm going to start with this kind of rosy tone here. So lately, I have actually been really enjoying throwing like one color all over the lid and then building backwards from that and just kind of going with one sort of like smoky eye color theme. So I'm gonna see how that works today instead of going for like a full rainbow eye. I love that you get so many neutral matte shades. Like you get, you know, your white right here and your very neutral kind of like peachy tone, but then you get into like truly like rosy peachy tones down here. And then you know, have all your fun shades and those are definitely in more of a shimmer, but then you also have like these three down here that are also matte. This palette, from a conceptual standpoint, gets me. So I think that the shade that I'm going to kind of put all over is this orange right here. We're going to start with this orange kind of like all over my eyelid, and then I'm gonna kind of work back with some of the like golds and champagnes and stuff and try and get a really good kind of like blocked out apricot eye situation going on. But first we're going to do what we always do, and I'm taking a flat brush here, and yes, we have a cream white, and I'm going to actually highlight my brow bone with it. Oh my gosh. We have had some palettes lately on my channel that have had very limiting options in terms of the lightest shade in the palette. I definitely have an opinion on this. This isn't like, you know, you're doing it wrong if you're not doing it my way kind of thing, but it's my philosophy that for any palette, you need to have a matte shade that can highlight. You have to be able to kind of back out of whatever you're doing, unless it's just a companion palette, which a lot of them are, but this has so many shades in it. It's got 24 freaking shades in it. You know, there's not really any excuse for this being a companion palette. So that white didn't really pack as much of a punch as I would have liked on a brush, but we might go back in kind of with my fingers at the end and see if we can just get a little bit more highlight out of it. But it reads pretty well on camera. It was just a little bit, like I had to pick up a lot of product to do that. Let's start with that same fluffy brush, and I'm going to dip into this orange shade right here. And I'm gonna swatch a lot of these guys on my arm at the end so that you guys can see the ones that I don't end up using. See if that translates here. Uh-oh, there's really nothing happening here. Let's try a flat brush, see if that lays the product down a little bit better. Because yeah, I was expecting a little bit more payoff from that. Okay, that's a little bit better. This is a $15 palette, and you know me, I definitely say, like, it's not about how much something costs, it's about what you're getting for the money. Like, if it's $15 and it still just is totally miserable to work with, then, you know, it's still not worth your $15 as opposed to, you know, like a $226 Natasha Denona palette. Getting what you pay for shouldn't mean compromising on frustration in the morning. Like, that's really aggravating. But with a flat brush, we are getting a ton more payoff here. I'm looking like a Halloween creature right now with all this stuff all over my face and just like crazy pumpkin eyes. But I think it's true what they say, that art in any form looks absolutely horrible right in the middle and really right up to just about the end. And I'm going to use a smaller kind of fluffy brush here and blend up to the brow bone with a little bit of this kind of champagne shade. Just throw her kind of up here. Ooh! Wow, you actually get some like really instant kind of shimmer payoff there. That's pretty! Oh, I like that a lot. That was really easy. I just like dip my brush in, grab that shade. That shade is called Sparks Fly. Yes, 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 yes. I'm just taking a lot of that shade and just building right here. I just think that that's super pretty. I think I'm gonna go in with this guy right here, this kind of like pink shade. And then I'll probably take like a cool tone and build the shadow, but I just want to get the effect of this. Yes. That's easy. Woo, that's easy. That blends so nicely. So we're ending up with kind of a tequila sunrise kind of situation going on here. Part of me had to kind of realize that it's not my job to do every single possible look that's in a palette. I went and watched Jackie Aina use the Fenty palette, and she used all the shades that I didn't use. And I was like, oh, okay. There are other creators out there. People can go and watch multiple tutorials, and they probably do. I don't need to try and use every single color on my eyes out of every palette, so live and learn. This is a very cool toned violet shade. It is called Tiramisu, and I'm going to also throw that in the crease because, like we have learned in previous palettes, it kind of doesn't totally matter the shade that you choose to put right here in the crease to build shadow. What matters is the temperature of that shade. It just needs to be a cool tone shade so that you can build the illusion of depth there. I want to do three things. I want to do an inner corner highlight, I want to do an on top of the lid highlight, and I want to kind of re-highlight my brow here. So first we're going to start on the lid with this shade called, seriously? It's called Grow Old? I don't know. I don't really, maybe I need to like watch her channel to get that reference, but that's just an odd name for a really beautiful gold shade. So we're just gonna throw that on the lid here. We're getting some, woo, we're getting some fallout. That's some pretty bad fallout. But it's okay because we baked, right? I'll be able to kind of brush that off. But man, woo, what a gorgeous foiled situation that is. Yeah. Yeah. That really starts to break down in a good way with the warmth of your skin, so you can kind of, you know, rub that right in the lash line and it starts to really foil, and that's beautiful. So I'm going to use this really pretty sort of, it's like a pearl shade. It's called Fairy Lights. And we're gonna use that on the inner corner. Why she's not using the mirror in the palette, that is what everyone will wonder, but that's what I'm doing. I'm just throwing you guys off. I'm just kidding. I just don't want to lift up that huge palette every time. Come through, Fairy Lights. Hell yeah, that looks good. And that's kind of just blending into the bake at this point. Let's go ahead and brush the bake off here, and then we will finish up around the eyes. We're still pretty ghostly. I'm gonna see how it goes after I put the rest of my makeup on and hit it with a finishing spray, but that is white. That is white, and I am pale. So I am not sure how I feel about that as a baking powder, as much as they call it a baking powder. I'm gonna just re-highlight my brow bone here a little, and it'll also help when I get brows on. I don't have brows on yet. And then I'm just gonna take this little baby brush that I love to use under the lash line, and I'm going to use that same gold that we use, the Grow Old color. Throw that right in kind of the outer corner to the center underneath and get some glow. On the brush we have less fallout, so that's good, at least so far. So I'm going to throw the rest of my face on here and we will come back and talk about highlighter. Okay guys, this looks as weird as it feels. The ghost powder, I feel like, is the big problem here. I think that the foundation is beautiful, and I think that if I had put a normal setting powder on top of it, it would have been a pretty darn good match, but it's causing so much flashback in the camera because it's not a baking powder, okay? A Coty Airspun is a baking powder. That's going to make sure that everything's nice and smooth, and it's gonna soak up all the moisture and it's gonna brush away clean, but it's going to make your skin the right shade. The main thing that I noticed when I was putting my makeup on is that it went on patchy. It was like the places where I had used a lot of powder, grabbed no product, and then the areas where I had just kind of dusted it off and allowed it to just set my foundation, grabbed really hard from the blush and the bronzer and everything, and I just feel like it looks really patchy and really frustrating. I found that it kind of pulled the product off of my nose. I had to go back in with a sponge, and then I hit it with some of the Becca Hydro Mist just so that I could get a more even playing field to put the makeup on top of, but by then I'm not sure if it wasn't just too far gone, but it's very muddy and patchy and weird, and I don't think it's the foundation's fault. I think that it is this powder. I would not recommend this powder. If you want a good baking powder that's inexpensive, less expensive than this even, go with the Coty Airspun. There's really no reason for this. This is just very silly. So anyway, we have already got most of my makeup on here, but we're going to finish off with a little bit of highlighter. So like I said, this is the Revolution Skin Kiss Champagne Kiss Highlighter. You get 0.49 ounces, which is a stink ton of product. And this bad boy is $9. Go ahead and swatch that, see what it looks like. It's really iridescent. You end up with a nice kind of like, you know, pinky purple, rosy pearlescence, which you guys know, a shade that is well within my comfort zone. It's not pulling green, it's not pulling blue. It's a little bit more wet look than I typically wear, but I think I was kind of prepared for that. I just wanted a little bit more look. For those of you who like a little bit more of a wet look, but not that like I'm going to the club kind of wet look, this is actually really pretty. I think that that's beautiful. I think that I will probably wear that again. So before I go off on my wear test here and go about my day, I wanted to swatch the shades that we didn't put on my eye that I feel like are kind of the eye-catching showstopper shades in this palette so that you guys still get an idea of how they perform. So we start with Pine Tree, and it shifts a little bit gold from green. This is Mixed Berries. It's just kind of a true iridescent plum purple shade. This is Petrol, which I think is one of those really interesting shades. It just kind of looks blue in the pan, but you can see it shifts brown. So it's got like a very apt name because it's kind of what an oil slick would do. So I think that that's a really cool shade. Copper Coin, which I think is a really beautiful shade, especially for, you know, your fall looks, your little pumpkin eyes. And then we have Festive Flame, and that is also a really beautiful kind of warm orangey tone, but it leans a little bit pinker. But any of those would work beautifully as kind of a focal point to build an eye look around. So I'm going to wear test this even though I kind of feel like a clown. I'm tempted to redo my makeup with just a different powder. Know that that sucks, but I might do it just so that we get a real wear test. So I won't do that on camera. Either way, I'm going to make sure that you guys get a real wear test out of this, okay? Okay, this is getting more involved than I thought that it was going to, but did I just wash all of that makeup off and do the exact same look with a different face powder? Yes, I did.
Hey guys, this is an hour and a half after applying this makeup. It was creasing in every spot imaginable, and the powder was working against me.
I basically just did everything that you just saw me do the first time, except I did not use this powder on top of it. I just used another one that I was more comfortable with. Not bake under my eyes. I did not bake anywhere, and I used the techniques that I'm more accustomed to using. So we are going to do a second wear test today in the same day of the foundation and the concealer. I want to see how they work when we're not being sabotaged by this powder. I think this powder is a huge fail. So let the second wear test of the day begin. Hey, it's a check-in with actual white balance. Can you guys believe it? It is the end of my day. It's only been about 7 hours since I actually put this makeup on because this is the second round of me putting it on. So let's talk about it, but I can't even tell you guys how excited I am that my skin looks like skin in the monitor right now and not pink. Guys, this is great. Like, this is really, really pretty. I have been out in it today. I drove all the way across town in my hot car. I spent a whole day hanging out with my friend Jordan and my friend Vanessa. I brought them all of my reject makeup and they got to go through it and tell me what they thought. I want to start doing a series, guys, like what would you think of this? Of like, my friends try makeup I hate, or my friends try makeup I love. Like, that would be really fun, right? Because I'm only one person. I think it'd be kind of fun to have my friends who have different skin tones, different skin types, and different preferences and things that they like come over and try some of my makeup. So anyway, I ate like a burger inside of a lettuce wrap. So like the makeup came off of my chin. That's because it was literally water and grease. I don't really expect any makeup to be able to put up with that. But like under my eyes and on my cheeks and over my lip and on my nose and even like as a matter of like settling into this line right here that I have on my eyebrows, my 11s. Guys, like this looks pretty stinking good. Like it doesn't have your SPF in it, it doesn't have a lot of skincare ingredients in it. I can't say after one day whether wearing this every single day would like break you out or something, but here, let me pull you in close and we'll kind of talk about this. Like I'm pretty impressed with it. You can see it kind of did go away on my chin and it did kind of come off on my nose a little bit. I'm just constantly rubbing my nose, but this is one of my telltale areas, that area with the baking powder. I couldn't move it either. Like I was taking my finger and a velour puff and whatever, just trying to kind of nudge the product out of that line and it wouldn't budge. It wouldn't move at all. It was infuriating. So that powder, I won't say it doesn't hold because she holds, but she settles into lines and it made all the rest of the makeup perform really poorly. So you can see under my eyes, this foundation and the concealer, because of course they are both under my eyes, I'm super impressed. Like I really like it. It's a very medium coverage in terms of a concealer. Like it's not a Shape Tape, but it does camouflage the dark circles. It gives a really nice luminosity and it doesn't get all crepey and weird, which is awesome. Like I don't have the weird like dry, crackly, creasy stuff under my eyes, which is fantastic. It feels really good on my face. So yeah, this foundation right here, I probably give it like a 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 only because obviously this is not going to be a high-end product. You're not getting beauty counter quality ingredients. You're not getting Thrive quality ingredients. You're not even getting an SPF in here. This is not going to be the high quality ingredient kind of situation. So it might break you out. I'm not really sure. It might break me out if I wore it every day. But I think it's really, really pretty. I think it wears beautifully all day. And if this is what's inside of your budget, $8 or $9, I think that's what this was, then this is an amazing choice and they've got a fantastic shade range. As well as the concealer. The concealer is beautiful. This is again like $7 or $8. There's a huge shade range and I really can't express to you how pretty I think that this is underneath the eyes. Again, this is not going to be a pile up, pound on kind of situation. When I baked on top of it, I don't think that it performed very well. But as far as a regular, everyday, like this is so much not what I expected in the respect of, I thought this was going to be full coverage cake makeup. I thought this was going to perform like a theater makeup. This goes on a lot more like the Wander Beauty. The only thing is I think this actually has a little bit more coverage. So if this is inside of your price point, like if this is kind of where you're at, guys, this is some of the best drugstore price stuff that I found and you can find these at Ulta. As far as the highlighter, $9. It's not like cheap, 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 but it's pretty good for the amount of product that you get. It's also like not hugely special. It's not like blowing my mind, but it's up there with the e.l.f. The shade is really pretty. These are very similar in shade because this is kind of where I've been at lately, is kind of this ballerina pink shade. So I don't think you can really go wrong. The other two things here, one being the eyeshadow palette. So I've again been wearing this eyeshadow all day. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I really love this like grouping of these bright orange apricot-y shades today. Vanessa and Jordan were both just like, oh wow, you know, your eyes look like a sunset. Like I am really into just kind of this orange thing happening. And this particular palette gives you so many options in that range that I really appreciate it. And it also gives you such a good range of mattes. I really appreciate some really good mattes in a big palette like this. Like if you're gonna have a big palette, I wanna have some mattes to lean on. So I mean, if this is your price range and you're like, I need to get a good palette that's gonna last me through pretty much like every occasion for only $15, and you're not super concerned with it being the most pigmented thing in the world, like you're okay with kind of working with some of these shades and layering them up, this is actually a really incredibly beautiful palette, especially for the price. And our one big loser of the day. Oh, you guys, I know anybody watching this would be like, why did you bake with that? That was obviously a translucent setting powder. Why would you put a pure white powder called Ghost underneath your eyes, caked on top of your makeup? Because you guys, it's called a baking powder, and I kind of wanted to call their bluff on that. I low-key knew that it was gonna do that because I have made that mistake before, we all have, and we went to an event or something, or for me, I shot a video and I went back and looked at the footage and my under eyes were glowing. This is just not the kind of texture of a product that necessarily works for this kind of thing. Maybe I should have gotten lace, maybe I should have gotten banana. We all know I'm not much of an under eye baker to begin with, but it's not like I've never done it before. I've definitely done it with the Coty Airspun and it works great. It's beautiful, but it just is a lot of makeup. It just feels like a lot of makeup on my face. That's why I don't do it very often. As far as this being the kind of powder that is meant to do that, it's not. It's not, and it didn't do it, and it just made everything else go on crazy weird. And as far as it being just a regular translucent setting powder, it did okay, but the problem was that I baked in some spots and used it as a translucent powder in other spots, which works perfectly fine with most baking powders, but this made the other makeup that I put on top of it grab in really strange ways. So my blush went on really harsh, and my bronzer went on really blotchy, and the highlighter looked really bizarre, and I just basically looked like a clown. The only difference between the first look and the second look is the setting powder, and so I really think that this just, user beware, this is not what it says it is. This is not a baking powder. Those are my thoughts on these products today, you guys. Let me know if you're enjoying having some lower priced items included in my repertoire on my channel. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel and you are brand new and this is your first time watching and you want to just hang out with us and be part of this family, then go ahead and hit the button down below and subscribe. We would all love it if you did. And guys, thank you so much for watching and for joining me today, and I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!